Okay, so try page 12 warm up now. Pause the video and try that. The amplitude in number 1 is 2. The negative means reflection. We're not going to include that when we just talk about the amplitude value. The period is 2 pi divided by the b value, which is 1, so that's 2 pi. And the midline is y equals 4, which is that vertical slide up 4. So when graphing, I'm going to go to my midline. I like a dashed line there so that I can keep my eye looking there. Then I'm going to go amplitude up and amplitude down. So my maximum will be 6, my minimum is 2. And with a period of 2 pi, I'm going to label my quadrantal angles along the x-axis. And then the cosine pattern, but reflected, is minimum, midline, maximum, midline, minimum. Connect your points in a nice smooth wave. Turn those minimums back around, and you need arrows on the end. For number 2, the amplitude is 3. The period is 2 pi because of the b value of 1. And the midline is y equals -5. So down at -5, put my dashed line, count up 3 and down 3 for the amplitude. I'm going to label my quadrantal angles. And then for my graph, the sine pattern is midline, maximum, midline, minimum, midline. Oh, I just missed it. Put arrows on the end of your graph. All right, so today in class, you are going to work on pages 13 to 15. Try them yourself, see how much you can graph without using the video or the answer key. And then if you need help or you just want to check, you can use the video and the posted key to do that. All right, so for number 1 here, I've got an amplitude of 1, a period of 2 pi, since the b value is 1. But now I have a phase shift. We have this horizontal shift to the left, pi over 2. So anytime we have a phase shift or a period change, it's going to take more work. So my starting point is to the left, -pi over 2. So that's the starting point. The end point at the end of the period is going to be the starting point plus the period. So this is the start plus the period. Now, to add a fraction and a non-fraction, I need a common denominator. So this is -pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2, which gets me 3 pi over 2 as an ending point. Now I need a middle point 3 times. So first I need the middle here. So to find a midpoint, it's the average of the endpoints. So I'm going to add up the endpoints and divide by 2, but since we already have a fraction, I'm going to multiply by 1/2. So this is -1 plus 2. So this is 2 pi over 4, which reduces to pi over 2. Then I need the middle again. And I can kind of see now, in between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2 would be 0. It's the y-axis. If you want to calculate it, 1/2, add the endpoint. And then I need one more halfway here. So that's 1/2 of 4 pi over 2, which is 4 pi over 4 pi. So that's the hard part. The hard part's done. Now we have amplitude, up 1, down 1, from a midline of 0, because there's no vertical slide. And our cosine pattern not reflected is maximum, middle, minimum, middle, maximum. Turn those maximums back around. Our graph is bounded above and below. We can't go above this maximum, so you have to turn that point around. All right, for number 2, pause the video here if you have not already tried number 2. Amplitude is 1, but there's a reflection. The period is 2 pi, and the midline is at y equals -1. So with no period change and no horizontal slide left or right, my x-axis work is a lot easier. It's just the quadrantals. The midline is at -1. The amplitude of 1, we're going to have a maximum of 0 and a minimum of -2. And sine reflected is midline, minimum, midline, maximum, midline. All right, number 3. We have an amplitude of 2 with a reflection. The period is 2 pi, because there's a 1 for the b value. And our starting point is going to be to the right, pi over 3. I'm going to mark my amplitude, because that's the easy part. The midline's at 0. There's no slide up or down. Okay, now the hard part, getting the endpoint. We start at pi over 3 and we add the period. But we need a common denominator. So our ending point is 7 pi over 3. Now I need the middle. It's half, add your endpoint. So 1 plus 7 is 8 pi over 3. I'm going to reduce here before going bigger. So 2 goes into 8 4 times, and we are left with 4 pi over 3 in the middle. Now we need to do 2 more middles. A middle here. That's 1/2 of 5 pi over 3. 5 and 2 don't reduce. 5 over 3 doesn't reduce. So we're going to multiply numerators, multiply denominators. We get 5 pi over 6. And now we need one more middle. That's 1/2 11 pi over 3, which is 11 pi over 6. All right. Making our point. It's a sine reflected. We start midline, minimum, midline, maximum, midline. All right, number 4. The amplitude is 3. The period is 2 pi. There's a b value of 1. And the midline is at y equals 3. I'm going to go up 3 for the amplitude and down 3 for the amplitude. No period change or horizontal shift, so I use my quadrantal angles. And the cosine pattern is maximum, midline, minimum, midline, maximum. Turn it around at the maximum, arrows on the end. All right, number 5. Amplitude is 3. The period, oh, now we have a b value that's not 1. So the period is 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2. And this shifts to the left, 3 pi over 4. And the midline is at y equals -2. All right, so here's my midline. Amplitude. And now the hard part. Left 3 pi over 4 is my starting value. The end point is going to be -3 pi over 4 plus the period. I actually want to use the period in this form because I already have a common denominator. That's -pi over 4. All right, I have a scale problem. This needs to go way over here. All right, so I'm going to fit a whole wave between -3 pi over 4 and -pi over 4. I'm not going to use any of this space. So now I need the middle. 1/2, add your endpoint. That's 1/2 of -4 pi over 4. These 4's divide, so we're left with -pi over 2. Right now I need this middle. I guess it's good that nothing's happening over here. 1/2, add the endpoint. Oh, I need a common denominator. This is going to be 2 times over 2, because this is now 4. So we get 1/2 -3 pi over 4. Nothing reduces, so this is going to be -3 pi over 8. Multiply numerators, multiply denominators. All right, one more halfway. I'm going to, again, write -pi over 2 as the common denominator. Save myself a step. So negative pi over 2 plus negative 3 pi over 4 is 1/2 of negative 5 pi over 4. And this is negative 5 pi over 8. All right. Now our point. What is this equation? Cosine not reflected. Maximum, middle, minimum, middle, maximum. That was a hard one. All right, one more. Number 6. Make sure you pause the video and try it yourself first. Amplitude is 3. The period is 2 pi divided by, now we have a b value of 2. That's just pi. The phase shift, or that horizontal shift, is left pi over 4. And the midline is at y equals 5. Midline, up the amplitude, down the amplitude. We start left pi over 4. And then to get the end point, plus the period, I need a common denominator. So that's 3 pi over 4. Now I need the middle. 1/2, add the endpoint. These 2's divide, and we're left with pi over 4. Ooh, that's pretty lucky. I did my scale super nice. Look at that. Now halfway here is 0. You could calculate it. I'm going to save myself some work. All right, one more endpoint. I'm sorry, middle point. Yeah, pi over 2. All right, now it is a sine graph, not reflected. Midline, maximum, midline, minimum, midline. All right, the next few pages are just the answers, but I just did all the answers on video, and you are officially done your practice homework.